Recently, we saw a case, very interesting case in the sense that, and people also would like to know, is a case about a well-known cricketer, Shikhar Dhawan, who had discord with his wife. There was a lot of mental torture which he had to undergo, and which he came out openly and said that the wife was married earlier and had two daughters. With Shikhar, there was a son. What I'm trying to say is about the custody.
Right.
The son is taken by the wife, and she keeps the son with him. This cricketer who wants to, definitely has a right to be with the son, because the son is his. He's gone out, to pay huge alimony to her, taking care of those two daughters, earlier daughters, which he kept on giving, and now he is paying for the son also. Web under which a man gets trapped. How does one handle such cases where there is again that feeling of blackmailing, high-handedness, and whether careers are destroyed? How do you give your opinions on such drastic cases?
So I think, Ashokji, you have in your question asked a very common thing, that the mothers take the children and go away wherever they want. So they're staying in a particular residence, and then they just leave the house and they go, whether they go to the parents' house or they go out to the country or out of the city, and then make the father sort of wait for the child, or whine for the child, or so on and so forth. The second thing which happens is about the custody. A child in many of these cases is used as a weapon to get back at the other side. Now, a child belongs to both the parents. I mean, universally. It is just that a man does not have a uterus, and that's why he cannot hold it for 9 months and deliver it. But the child belongs to both of them. So I, as a person and as a lawyer, strongly believe that there should be joint custody, there should be joint parenting, and in cases of disputes like this, and both the parents should be equally responsible. Rights and duties go hand in hand. But what happens in reality is, if you are the father and I am the lawyer for the mother, then I want to deprive you and hurt you where it hurts you the most, by not letting you see your child. Okay, so that's some sadistic thing. Now, how do we advise? We just advise them that this is not correct. Ultimately, if you really love your child, you will look at the emotional well-being of the child. Yeah. And the child wants to be with the father or has to be with the father. Yeah. And only then you're giving a proper nourishment to the child's mind. Yeah. But these are the things that only, I would say, few from our fraternity say. I understand as a lawyer, I have to do as instructed by my client. But also as a person from the social structure and the society, I have to also advise the person. How could it be destructive for the child? Forget what you have an agenda with your husband, but how it could be destructive for the child if he or she is kept away from it. And thirdly, and more importantly, that issues of child custody, even today in India, there are certain set rules and laws that have been made. Like child till the age of 5 or 6 is normally with the mother, looking at the age factor. Then not necessarily with the father, but the courts use the parameter of best interest and welfare of the child. Okay. So in cases of custody, the courts don on themselves the role of a child counselor also, besides a judge, and ascertain what is in the best interest of the child, how much time they should, because there could be cases where one of the parties is a substance abuser or alcoholic. Yeah. Then is it right to keep the child under such thing? So all those various situations are taken care of. And in cases where huge sums of alimony, as you asked me, is sought for, this somehow, unfortunately, is become like a contagious thing, and more from the haves than the have-nots. Yeah. But every law also has its abuses. Yeah. So I think it's for a court to really be able to separate the wheat from the chaff and see which are the genuine cases and which are not. And that at times becomes difficult. At the same time, certain indications are there which makes it clear what the situation is. I must tell you this, because of this number of cases where the abuse of 498A, that is cruelty against husband and in-laws, was or false case of domestic violence against the husband or the live-in partner and the extended family was concerned. Supreme Court took cognizance of this fact. Okay. Earlier, what used to happen was, and this was such a fear in the mind of the people, that if the wife went to the police and filed an FIR and made allegations, I mean, the police would sort of, be at the doorstep and arrest the father-in-law, the mother-in-law, the husband, or whoever was there, and put them behind bars, and then you had to go and get a bail and all. Now, situation has changed because Supreme Court has laid down guidelines and in Animesh Kumar's matter, and those guidelines are that any complaint that comes to the police station of mental harassment, torture, physical torture, etc., the complaint has to be taken, FIR can be registered, but a notice has to be given to the husband and the other accused, record their statements, give them an opportunity of being heard before you take any drastic steps. So that has, in a way, made it a little more sort of amenable to the other accused people to put forward their says rather than just go straight behind the bars. So this is a change that has come out. The courts are susceptible to these changes and they are accepting these changes. But to be honest to you, as a lawyer, the majority of the view of the cases is that out of 10 cases, 9 cases the husband is wrong, and only in 1 case the wife is wrong. So somehow this ratio has to change, is what my view is.
Is it possible, well, a lot of cases have come in forefront where parents के दबाव में, parents को पता होने के बावजूद भी कि आपके बेटे में प्रॉब्लम है, homosexuality है, ये सब है, and then you force your son to get married so that समाज में हमारी images जो हैं वो correct हों.
Today, when two people intend to get married, whether it's a love marriage or an arranged marriage, you should get all your physical checkup is very important to find out. Not only about sexual orientation, but also about whether there are any diseases or any kind of ailments or any kind of family history which is there, which is likely to cause. Because when you meet a person, you would not know whether you have a diabetes or I have a diabetes, or whether you have a asthma or I don't have asthma. I'm not saying that these should be the only deciding factor, but being aware of all these things prior to marriage, without playing any kind of a mental fraud on the other person of not disclosing that, and that's also taken to be as a ground for divorce. Now, on the other part, as you brought out this issue about the same-sex people and orientation of those people, as we call them gays, lesbians, etc., I have seen in my span of over 2 decades that initially there were a lot of cases that came to me where maybe, and those happened to be both men and women, and you'd be surprised for that, where the spouse came to me and said that, ma'am, we got married, etc. I was not told anything. And within, 1 week he avoided having any physical intimacy with me, etc. I thought, thak gaya hoga, or he's not well, whatever. It's not marriage. We have the whole married life. We can do that. But then I realized that he had no interest. He would not get, nothing would excite him, whether even if I would undress before him or something. So these are the things that she started telling me. And then at some point of time when she's saying, I just lost my patience. And I just asked him, what the hell, why are you not being intimate with me? I mean, that's what we are, we are married, we are legally married. And that's where in that, one of those statements, he said that, sorry girl, I'm gay. You're beautiful, you're nice, you're very good. But seriously, I'm not attracted to you. Some cases, they had a boyfriend or a partner, as one would call it. In some cases, which I dealt with, the person didn't have a partner, but his sexual orientation was there. I'll tell you a very interesting story. There was this guy who was working in Dubai. He knew this girl. The girl and he were dating each other, and then they got married. He was not gay at the time when they were dating. That's what he tells me. When post he got married, probably that took the better of him, and his sexual orientation was only towards the men, and that's when she realized, and she filed a criminal case against him. If you remember that till the Supreme Court judgment came where they decriminalized the provision in law, at that point of time, all these people who had same-sex orientation were living in closets. They were afraid to come out. So this decriminalization gave them an option to come out and open. So coming back to the case which was there, the wife filed a criminal complaint against him in Bombay, and he was based in Dubai. And she filed, and the complaint was that he's gay, and that's a criminal offense. तभी decriminalized नहीं हुआ था. So that's a criminal offense, and that she should be arrested and he should be. So those were the severe kind of punishments that were given in those days if the person happened to be gay. This guy was in Dubai, and there was no way he could come down. And in Dubai, they're very strict for these situations like same-sex orientation. So he didn't want his office to know, and he was a working person, and there were various issues which were there. It was all a game to cancel the marriage, which is fine because he was gay, and also to extort money from him. Because if you don't pay me an X amount as my alimony, I will pursue with this case, and I will ensure that you are, and this will go to your employees in Dubai, and there the laws are very, very strict. So then he had to cough up a considerable amount of money to do that. There was another case where I saw where the girls, the man came to me and he said, I got married, and these were upper middle class people coming from simple families, got married, and he says, I got married, and the day I got married, the same evening, my wife came with her best friend. And I said, okay, theek hai. Then shaadi with the girl, arranged marriage. She must be a little bashful. She wants some company. She wants to get comfortable, etc. 1, 2 din, 3 din, 4 din ho gaya. And whenever he would call her, and then she would say, I'll just finish and come, and just not come and sleep with this in the same room. And he said, do ladkiyan friends hai, so rahe, usme kya badi baat hai. And then he tells me that one of the late night or evenings, whenever he was sleeping, he just saw some little bit of light or something in that room, and he went and he saw that the friend and his wife were sort of, they were physically intimate. And obviously he was shocked, and then he came out, and then he started this situation. That is when the girl confessed to him, and she told him that, listen, I know what I'm doing to you is terrible. So this is a genuine case. I know what I'm doing to you is terribly wrong. I knew. I was having this she was my partner, and we were together right from the school. It's not that it started now. And we were there, but our parents also came to know a little later. It's my father who told me, you must get married. You must try and work out the marriage. If it doesn't work out, it's fine. Then you can take a divorce, but you can't be in a gay relationship. And then she was forced to get married. Only that after that, it was a divorce. Nobody will say, theek hai, nahi bani. It was okay. But nobody knows the
license
real.
will gaya usko.
Yes.
Is it possible that there should be proper tests done, documentation ho jana chahiye, both sides se, and then you can go ahead for the marriage? Do you think that is possible and should happen?
Today's situation is different. Not only medical examination, I mean physical. I'm saying even mental health issues. One doesn't know whether somebody is depressed. One doesn't know, suppose, and we have so many cases of bipolars who come to us, and bipolars can be very normal. You and me, the way I am, I may be bipolar. When I go back, I can behave in a different manner. So ये सब करना ज़रूरी है to have a very free and frank, a complete idea about each other before getting married.
It should be a written document or something like
Yes.
that. What is your take on, prenup? Yeah.
It's a concept which is developing in India, but not in the format as a prenup that you have overseas, say in countries like the US, Europe, or so on and so forth. Some states in US recognize, some don't recognize. In India, because parties who come from well-to-do background, whether it's the girl's parents or the boy's parents, they want to protect the wealth. They sometimes feel, in fact, I just did something 4 days back, where a very wealthy family from Dubai, Indian family, settled there. They've made tons of money there, and their only son got engaged to some girl at a bar or something, and he was head over heels. And the parents, who were there 75 and 78, they came to me and they said, ma'am, this man is getting into a horrible relationship. We know she's not here for the love of him. She's only here because he's the only son of a wealthy person. And can you help us draw? Then I explained the law, that there's no such law right now. Okay. But what we can do is a memorandum of understanding between the two parties as to what should be in the event of the divorce that happens. So this awareness is coming between parents, between people themselves, between parties to the marriage also. And they do want to ensure that the wealth which is generated either by them or by, in Indian families, mein inheritance hota hai, gift hoti hai, or things which are there, is not subject to the divorce court to decide all those things, and that it is in a way protected before it gets. The idea is not to deprive the other person, but also not let somebody be a gold digger and destroy the family.
मेरे सूत्रों से पता चला है मुझे कि आपके पास बॉलीवुड के काफ़ी केसेस हैं. How different are the Bollywood cases as compared to other normal cases? Is there any difference in handling both the cases? Because in our industry, I'm very keen because I belong to that industry. So, and people also would like to know attitudes, practicality, openness. Is there any difference as far as handling cases of my industry and the people at large?
So people who come to me, they all have feet of clay. So I think that's the basic thing that we should go on that premise.
See, I also need a TRP, so that's why I'm getting into Bollywood industry. Yeah.
So that's there. So obviously, I mean, people have issues. A person is a celebrity, or he's from Bollywood, or a person is a professional like me, or this person who is into some different kind of a segment. Issues are same, pain is same, the systems are there. But in my experience, and whatever the cases that I have done, and I would say most of them were where people did it in a very graceful manner, in a very amicable manner. There may have been a lot of things in the background which I as a lawyer was not aware of. Whatever could be the reasons, there could be infidelity, there could be any other reasons, etc. But when they come with a specific thing that we've agreed upon ABC, this is what we want to do, please help us walk the path and get us the divorce. Yeah. So to see, yes, there is a lot of hype and there's a lot of inquisitiveness and people want to know what's happening in their lives. That's normal social way of looking at it. Yeah. But at the end of the day, they also have their stresses and strains. Some are responsible for the breakup of marriage. Sometimes two people are responsible for the breakup of the marriage. Sometimes, as you got this celebrity's case of a cricketer, there are certain vested interests which are also there, which bring about these things. So there are various factors. So the difference is only that these kind of cases, which I also said when you talked about this, that being a celebrity, it comes into the focus of the media or the general public. But these kind of cases are otherwise always going on in different courts, and nobody knows about it or nobody's interested into it, but we are interested in knowing what happens in Bollywood. Yeah, I guess it's the same what they are, but they are otherwise. They are celebrities on the screen, I believe. That's why I said that.
Mrunalini, first of all, I'm really thankful to you for the way you went through the entire journey of this major issue of divorce and relationships, the way they break. रिश्ते टूटते हैं, रिश्ते बनते हैं. रिश्तों का कारमा जो है चलता रहता है और फिर उसमें खटाई भी आई जाती है. मैं अगर आपसे पूछूं कि शादियां न टूटें, रिलेशनशिप्स न खराब हों, या लोग जो शादी करने जा रहे हैं, you as an expert, in short, what do you want to advise them?
So I am not here as a preacher, I'm here as a lawyer. But the only advice that I would get into it, keep your eyes, ears, everything open before entering into a relationship. Don't be swayed by external factors, or do not be swayed by just your emotions of love. Love is very important in a relationship, but I repeat, at the cost of repetition. It has to be the respect and the trust. And if you, during the time that you're dating each other or whatever, you're spending time with each other and you plan to get married, if you see any red flags, don't overlook them. Don't overlook them, because there is a reason why those red flags are being seen. Yeah. Maybe that's a signal from some divine source which is telling you that things which are not there. Sometimes our emotions take the better of us and we say that ho jayega, theek ho jayega. Hope so. But if it doesn't happen, then you should not regret that I had the red flags. Yeah. Sometimes you have a partner who's got incontrollable rage. You go to a restaurant and he flings a glass and he yells at the waiter and becomes a pattern. You should know that this is how the person is going to be. Do you want to be with such a person? He may be otherwise a good person. So that's a call that you have to take. So be aware of the red flags during the times which are there. And coming from maybe a little old school thought that I would say, any relationship flowers or it goes down south and where both the parties are responsible. You cannot say that only one party is responsible if the relationship goes down south.
Yeah.
The percentage of the thing could be different, but there are no blacks, there are no whites, there are only areas of gray. So sometimes I make a mistake, I would expect my spouse or to overlook it and say, कि चलो ठीक है, हो गया, today was a bad day. Or tomorrow, if he does something, I can overlook it. तो ये अगर relationship ऐसे build हो जाती है, then there are things that such certain situations are going to arise, but we know how to deal with them. So I think that's one part of it. And I always say that communication is very important in a relation. Good, bad, ugly. Communicate. Because lack of communication leads to a lot of misunderstanding, and then they lead to a lot of other issues also. Also, I feel this is my time, this is his time, and this is our time.
Fantastic.
When these three things are put in these kind of segments, then it gives time to each of them to have his own
Space.
Yeah, if the husband wants to go and have a boys' night out, I mean, I cannot be saying, why are you going, why you're not taking me? Or if I want to do that, that should be allowed. And there could be a family time where all of us are together. So ये अगर understanding होती है कि he's my husband, but he's not some cow who's tied to my cow shed. He has his own life, or similarly for the wife, or similarly for things which are there. So इसमें maturity, understanding, and putting yourself in the other person's shoes. If you do that to a large extent, you'll be able to sort of avoid these kind of confrontations.
How long are you married?
44.
44.
To the same man. I must
So
share.
what all did you do to save your marriage and live together for 44 years?
So I must share this interesting anecdote. I think 10 years back or something, we'd gone somewhere, 10 or 15 years back, me and my husband. And the same question was asked to me at one of these things. So how long have you been married? So that was obviously 30, 35 years. So the question that the interviewer asked me, to the same person, I didn't think that could be a question. I mean, I was really taken aback. So I said, yes, of course, to the same person. But to answer your question, what does it take to have a sustained marital relationship of 44 years? On a lighter note, I would say that I learn from the mistakes of the others, the clients who come to me, and understand what they are. So those are like little red flags or the warnings, do's and don'ts. On a more serious note and a more practical note, which is there, is somewhere I have been sort of inculcated with these ideas that no two persons are, there's no black or white in any relationship. There is an area of gray. So that doesn't make one person better than the other. That doesn't make one person completely responsible for the love or the lack of love or for any other negative emotion. It takes two to tango. And if you both decide that you need to work on this because you mean commitment, you mean investment, then these things can work for the better. It doesn't mean that you don't have clashes. It doesn't mean that you don't have disagreements. It doesn't mean that even in a relationship which is there, either the husband or the wife just blurts out, I'm going to divorce you tomorrow, or I'm going to a lawyer tomorrow. Unfortunately, he can't. My husband can't say that for obvious reasons. But which is the kind of things that come up. So these things are ups and downs, and things go on.
Is he also a lawyer?
He's a surgeon.
Surgeon, oh.
Yeah, so he says he can't get a better lawyer for himself. So he better adjust with the one he is married to. So he has no choice. So these are the things that help you to navigate. And then in some cases, when kids are there, the part of your family, then your whole focus is investing time, energies in them. And then sometimes your maladjustments take a back seat and you focus on raising a family because that you owe it to them. So these are various reasons. Again, I said there cannot be one single formula. It differs from but it all depends on how people are determined to make things work. It's like a boss and employee also, any relationship for that matter.
मुझे लगता है कि इस क्लाइमैक्स के बाद, इस लास्ट 3 सेंटेंसेस के बाद मेरा कुछ बोलना उचित नहीं रहेगा. I think this is what we all have to take with us after this show. And बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया Mrunalini ji, on behalf of me and my entire team. Thank you very much, Mrunalini ji.
Thank you so much for having me over. It was fun chatting with you. Surely.
Thank you.